Thank you, Abbas Bhai. Please recite the Surah Al-Fatiha for the following Murhameen. Nashilabad Banu Hashim, our ex-member of the seniors, and Abdul Hussain Akbar Nathani Takim, who passed away yesterday. Surah Al-Mubarak Fatiha. Dr. Sadik Merali. Sadik. We are very grateful today for the visit from Dr. Sadik Merali, Karibu, who is the leader of the Helping Hand, and he can tell us all about it. Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here to speak to you all. It's a pleasure, it's a privilege to be able to be here, to speak to you all with the wisdom, with the heart of the community all here. And I've been asked to come and speak to you about Huja Helping Hands, which I will come to after a brief introduction and a discussion of how we got to creating Huja Helping Hands. Just by show of hands, so I have an idea, do people know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Huja Helping Hands? Have people come across? If you have, just put your hand up so I get an idea. So let's say a handful. Okay, so I think this is why I've been invited to come and speak about, so people are more aware of what Huja Helping Hands are. My name is Sadik Merali. Is that better? Okay. My name is Sadik Merali. I live in London, in Pinner. I was born in Essex. I grew up in Portsmouth. My father is here, Hassan Merali. He's a regular at the seniors events. Mother, Shenaz Merali. We grew up in Portsmouth. I moved to London for university. I studied at UCL Medical School. I completed my medical degree at UCL. I worked in Barnet Hospital, in Chase Farm Hospital, and I qualified as a GP in 2008. Since then, I've worked as a GP. I've worked as a GP as a salaried doctor, and then I acquired my own practices. I work in Kingsbury. I have a practice in Kingsbury, and I have a couple of practices in Essex near Southend. And I currently split my time between the practices to work as a GP. Now, my experience as a GP has given me a lot of experiences, and it's been a great privilege to be able to serve as a GP, because it gives us the opportunity to get that very unique insight into people's lives. We study medicine, but we also study people. And we get the chance to see and speak to people in the most confidential manner. So we learn a lot about people as GPs, and we're always learning. And until the day we retire, we'll still be learning. And I think it was because of that insight that I was given the privilege and opportunity to serve in the executive committee with Dr. Munir Datu, the president at the time, from the years 2017 to 2020. And I was asked to take on the role as welfare. to head up welfare. Now, welfare, when I came in, was, I thought, to do with distribution of sadqa money, to make financial assessments, and people need the money, and they're distributed. But when I came in, I realized actually it was a much wider topic. And if you spoke to different people, if I spoke to 10 people here, I think 10 people give me 10 very different interpretations of what welfare is. If you go out on the street, people talk about welfare as in benefits. If you speak to people in the community, they'll talk about welfare as in welfare of the youths, of the seniors, of the spiritual welfare of the community. So it meant something different to everyone. And so when I came into this role, I realized actually it's a lot bigger role than I originally thought. So we sat down amongst the team and we wanted to work out what exactly was welfare. You know, what did it mean? And how do we create this welfare help that the community and the EC was able to offer? There were some very heartwarming experiences because we brought everyone together. We had a few seminars and we brought people together and said, if you are providing anything that you think will fall under welfare, then let's have a meeting and let's meet you. And there are a lot of people who are offering help, and they were offering help. But the slightly depressing thing was you'd only know about those people offering help if you knew that person. So if you knew Mustafa Jafar, then you'd know he would be doing a financial assessment on behalf of the Jamaat, and you'd go to him, and you'd be able to apply for some sadqa help. If you knew Merali, Aunty, then you'd know that she had a group of volunteers who were able to help with some shopping and errands and so on, and you go to her. But if you didn't know these people, you didn't know where to go for help. So we, as a welfare team, decided that we really should try and make welfare of the community accessible to all. So one of the first things we did was we tried to bring everyone under one banner by calling it welfare at Hujjat, as opposed to individual groups who were then providing help to those who knew them. So that was our first challenge, and that took us about 1.5 years out of our 3 years, just to try and bring everyone under one banner. And then the next phase we got to was we also realized that there wasn't just the people who were requiring help, there's also the people wanting to give help. And how do we match people who here want to help and here who need help, and how do we match them together? So this is where the term and the team name was coined of Huja Helping Hands. And we felt that Huja Helping Hands meant something. So when you said to someone helping hands, you got a straight away an understanding that this was a group of people who wanted to help and volunteer their times, either physical or with their time. And Hujjat Helpers was the term we coined for those who are offering help. So we came to the community and I announced during some mosque events. We did a few online, we did some in person during some of the larger nights in Ramzan and Kushalis. And we announced that we're looking for Hujjat helpers, and at the same time announced that we would like people who feel they need help or refer a community member who thinks needs help to us so that we can match a Hujjat helper to a person in need. Now, it didn't have to be that the helper had to be a young person and the one needing help had to be an elder person. It could be either way around. And so we had a big mix of people who came to us to offer help. Some people who could offer a lift to the mosque. There's some people who could go and visit and spend 10 minutes, who could spend maybe half an hour to an hour once a week, once a fortnight, and go and visit. We had people who could offer a phone call to those who are living alone maybe. They may have lost a loved one, they may have been lonely. They could offer help with a computer, they could offer help with shopping. And so we managed to recruit a bank of volunteers called helpers, and also those who needed the help. This was, let's say, 2019, 2020. Then 2019, as you know, end of 2019 is when COVID hit. And we went through a lot of changes. So the needs of people changed very quickly. People didn't then want to be visited, understandably, because we were all isolating from each other. So as opposed to having visiting help, we started doing more remote help. So people who were able to would try and meet over a Zoom call, or we would offer shopping. And so a lot of people needed shopping because if you're vulnerable, of a certain age or medical condition, you couldn't go shopping. So then a Hujjat helper would offer to do your shopping. So the service changed at the time. It became helping people with their shopping, with their meals. And over time, the service changes with time, depending on the volunteers that are available and the people who need the help. Now, the reasons we've set this up is we have people who need the help, and today I'm here for two reasons. One is to remind the community that Huja Helping Hands is there. I've had the privilege of continuing to be involved in Huja Helping Hands, but there's some amazing members who are running it. Riaz Kaku, Mehboob Ghulam Hussain, and there's a few others who are still very active and running it. I've been able to stay involved, and I will continue to stay involved. And we'd like to come out just to really remind people that Huja Helping Hands is there. And if there are anyone who needs, it might be help with day-to-day things, it might be some form of company, it could be a simple need. Or if you know somebody, it might be somebody that you're used to seeing coming to Jummah Namaz, seniors program, but suddenly they drop off, and you don't see them for a week, then suddenly you don't see them for a month, and then you realize actually they've stopped coming at all, and it might be them that you realize they need somebody to reach out to them and to find out, do they need a visit? Because what we have here is we have a community, but we can only be part of the community if we attend. If you don't attend the community, you drop off, and suddenly you disappear. And if you don't have your network of people around you, and some people don't have their extended families or even their immediate families around them, then it becomes very difficult and a very lonely existence. And one of the things that I'm very acutely aware of is in this country and in this society, we have a lot of loneliness. And I've got some notes here about some of the facts and figures about loneliness, which even when I was reading them, although I might be aware of it, I found shocking, and I wanted to share it with you. And so something that Huja Helping Hands can do is it can offer a visit, maybe once a week, maybe once a fortnight, maybe it's a phone call. It's something simple, just gives the person at home something to look forward to and to build a connection. Also, the other way is as young people. Now, I grew up in Portsmouth, Wessex Jamaat, and my journey and my experience of the mosque was very different to what I'd say my children's experience of mosque here is in Stanmore. We would walk into a hall, I would say, not any bigger than, let's say, the annex downstairs room. That would be our gents' room. And there would be anything between 15 to 50 people, depending on the night. And you'd go in and you'd know everyone. I'd see my group of friends, 5 guys. There'd be dad's age, which would be 10. Then there'd be 10, the age of my granddad. And you'd know them all, and they all know me. And it was a very different experience. Now when I bring my children, when they were young, I'd drop them to the annex. I would go into the marquee, the English listening, ELC, and dad would come in here, the Urdu lecture. And we would have 3 separate gatherings and 3 separate Jamaats almost. And my kids wouldn't know my friends and vice versa, and dad's friends wouldn't know me, and so on. And so part of the role of Huja Helping Hands is also try and connect people. So if they're younger people who are never going to be connected with an elder community, part of the community, then this is the way of doing it. And it worked well because we would have helpers who were young, those who needed help that were senior, and there would be a nice connection between the two. So we're here to remind people that if you are in need of help, if you know someone needs help, or if you would like to offer help, then come and speak to me, come and speak to any one of our team, and we can make sure we match you. Now, some of the information here I just wanted to share about loneliness. Now, there's some facts here just to think about. Now, it's focused on the elderly, and I think it's not only elderly that suffer from this, but these are the facts that I was able to pull off. So 1.4 million elderly people in the UK say they feel lonely. Over 50% of people aged 75 and above live alone. Now, loneliness has been shown to increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, and dementia. In fact, scientists now say that loneliness can be as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So we can see that we're talking about something very real here. You know, we're not talking about just a feeling here. We're talking about some actual physical effects. And so if we're able to connect some people who they might have lost a partner, they might have lost the family members, they might have lost their friends circle becomes smaller and smaller. and there could be something that could be done for them in terms of connections with people, then I think we'd love to be able to offer that. And sorry, just some other points I've made. I'd make sure I don't want to miss anything. Some of the more practical things that I can just think back of some examples. We've talked about shopping. Some people have needed hospital visits, so they've been in hospital for a week or two, and their family required a bit of assistance for visits, and so we've had a helper that's gone to visit them. There might even be signposting, so it's not necessarily people need help with a physical help or someone being there, but it might be signposting, so help with benefits forms, help with setting up some IT. And so within the group of helpers, there's some expertise, and they can offer help, be it in the form of advice. So the way we want to be able to offer help is to make the process as simple as possible. So you can either email the welfare@huja.org and say, I need help, or I know somebody who needs help, and with their permission, I'm emailing you. There's a phone number where it doesn't have to be picked up by anyone. It's a voicemail facility, and that voicemail comes to me. I just hear the message, and it's only me that hears it, and then I will pass on to whoever it is that is able to offer the help. Or you can go on the website. On the website, there's a form where you click to say, I need help, and then an email comes straight through to me. So one of the things we found was there's a little bit of stigma with asking for help, and I understand that. Nobody really wants other people to know when you're in need, and that's very understandable. And so what we try and do is make sure everything is confidential as possible. So if people need help and they come to help, then it's something which isn't broadcasted, and it's only one or two people that it comes to, and then we then pass it on to the people able to offer the help. We have an hour slot, but I don't intend to speak for now because I think it'd be useful to be able to offer people the chance to ask questions, and I'm happy to stop if we can ask people for questions. Sure. Yeah? So yes, I'm very happy to take any questions. People might want to know more, might have had an experience with Helping Hands, might never heard about it, then please, now's your chance to ask. Thank you very much. Over to you, Salawat. I think Uncle there was first. Yep. Thank you. So the question is that there's a need for support for people with mental health, but there's a stigma with mental health, with announcing that you have mental health, and so we need to find a way of making it an approachable offer and service. So I think what we've spoken about is very much linked to mental health. So mental health can be caused by physical illness. It can be caused by environmental factors. One of the things we've spoken about is community, loneliness. And I think if you lack community, if you are in a position of loneliness, if you have a physical chronic disease, these are all risk factors to developing mental health. And I think what we do is we can hopefully help people without necessarily saying we're here to help your mental health. We're here to help with a visit. We're here to help you feel part of a community and a bond, and to feel part of this beautiful community that you've been part of for 50 years and now you're not able to take part in. It's a big loss to people. So I think you're right in that mental health, but we don't have to call it mental health, like you're saying. Yeah, and I think, and there are, and I think that might be a cultural difficulty that we have with accepting mental health. Yeah, and we are becoming more comfortable and more familiar with it, and we're not there yet, and we will be there, and I think times change and societies change, and that we will feel comfortable. And there's also a group called Inspirational Minds that also offer mental health support, and they've got a lot of experience with community matters, and there are some counsellors and some therapists and some psychologists that are very much involved in their group. But we link in with these groups. So this is run by another head, but we are able to link in. And so if we identify somebody who is with us that requires mental health support, we always refer back to GP. That's the first place we say, because you must get your medical help from your GP. But what we can do is we can supplement it, and we can make it a bit more palatable, and people understand it a little bit better coming from a faith-based discussion. And so that is something that we're aware of, and you're right to bring it up. Come. Sure.
Assalamu alaikum. The question of ours, there are many seniors who used to come here. Now they are not able to come because of old age, or their wheelchair, or they find it very difficult to come to the center. But if anybody knows about, I don't know whether you have got that section in your side, whether we can do something. If you find somebody is very sick or somebody, some of us can take some other seniors and go and visit. Once I went, it is a small story, but it is very practical. The seniors, those who are bound, they have got something to say to you for the betterment of our community, for upliftment of our community. But because they are not coming, or they are not, they are lonely, they can't take out from their heart what they want to do to others. And we are passing the same situation as time comes. So if we can, if they can, I don't know whether you also have that kind of thing. That, is it in your section that you can, if somebody is sick or cannot come here, some of the seniors can go and visit? Helping hand. There's helping hand.
So I think there's two important points there. First of all, it's people who are here who are able to recognize that they've not seen somebody, and can recognize that that person, they might be elderly, 80s, 90s plus, and because of certain physical and disease and illness, and they would benefit from somebody visiting them. But I think also Uncle makes a good point, that it's also for us to be able to benefit from these people with the wisdom and with the heart and that they have. So it's not just offering the help, but it's also for the helper to receive from the person that they're visiting. And actually it's relying on the people in this room. So it may be that the people who need the message will never get the message because they're not online, they're not coming to events, and they may never hear the message unless we actually were given a phone number to say this is the person, give them a call. So if there is anyone who you know of in that position, and Uncle, you've mentioned it there, that you see people may drop off from the radar, then make sure we're aware of them. But get their permission, make sure they're happy to receive a call, and then we can then see. And it might be that they'd say, no, thank you very much, we don't want anyone visiting us, but we would love some help with our shopping. Because I find this online shopping very hard to get used to. And that's something, and some of the helpers don't necessarily do a physical shop, but they do the online shop and they arrange a delivery to the doorstep, and that's all they need. And you just need someone who's got the know-how, how to use an app, how to use a Tesco online shopping, and they do it for them. And there's some of our helpers which do 3 or 4 community members shopping a week, and that's an amazing service. And for that person who receives the shopping, it's a lifesaver.
Assalamu alaikum. Does Jamaat or Helping Hand has any list of people that are living alone? First question. Second question, there has been an occasion when a lady who was living alone, she passed by. Fortunately, she had a sister abroad who used to call her every second day. When she called her, she didn't get reply. She called somebody here. Will you please check with my sister? She's not been answering. When that person went to check there, it was closed, no answer. Finally, he had to call the police. The police came, they broke the door, and they found the lady died on the floor. Is it not the duty of Jamaat or helping hand have a list of people that are living alone? First question. Second question, giving lift. I was given a lift by a helping hand. I don't want to give a name. When I reached home, he did not ask me for any payment, but he asked me, I told him I usually come with somebody who's helping me. So he's asking me, do you pay him petrol money? So I think before helping hand gives any help, please tell them that how much money do you need? Because I was asked, do you pay petrol money? What is helping hand for?
Thank you, Uncle. So I think in answer to your first question, we don't have that information, who's living alone. I think it's important. Maybe there is some way towards gone that way, because now Huja Living is now its own project. And I think for the first time,
It will take time.
it might take some time. And with all these projects and information gathering, it takes time. But I think we might be going some way towards gathering this information. Hujjat Living was initially started as senior living. But some of us who've had the opportunity to go to Harefield to go for the presentations have now understood, actually, when the survey was sent out, there was a demand, which is why I was then invited, not just for senior living, but for those who were maybe not able to afford living. So it became now Huja Living in Harefield, and we pray that there's a success with that project, has now become a mixture of seniors and welfare. So I think this information needs to be gathered immediately. And there was a surprise in the Jamaat that there were so many people in the position where it wasn't just seniors living alone, but there were young people living alone who needed and wanted to live within a community. So I think this information needs to be gathered, is answer to your question. And I agree, I don't think we have this information. We don't have this information, in fact. And with regard, you're right, I think it's disappointing to hear. I wasn't informed of this, but it's disappointing that you asked for petrol money. This is not right, and I agree, it's not in the spirit of the helping. And that's not acceptable, and I agree with that. And it's important that you bring this up with me, because there was always a way that we're able to refund people's expenses if they needed it. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to put people in a difficult position financially if they can't afford the petrol, but there are ways that Jamaat can refund this. So yes, you're right, you shouldn't be asked for petrol money. But there are many avenues in the Jamaat to fund expenses for volunteers. Thank you, Uncle.
I'm not a member of the Jamaat. I'm just a visitor, but can I ask a question? Are you doing this voluntarily, or you have a budget? And if you have a budget, what's the amount per year you require?
Thank you. So the activities that take part are voluntary. Okay, so if somebody is able to offer their time, it's done on a voluntary basis. Now, sometimes some of these services enter a grey area of professional help. So some people may be getting a visit, then suddenly they start asking and expecting caring services, which obviously is not within the remit of the person who's doing a voluntary service. Or it might be, it started with a lift to the mosque, then it becomes lots of car lifts, and then there becomes an issue of needing petrol money. So there are funds set aside by the community, by the Jamaat, for this. And so we have access to it. And so one of the services provided is shopping. Now some people will afford their shopping, and there's a simple assessment. If they can afford it, they pay for it. If they can't afford it, then the Jamaat lets us know that there is some funds available, and that can be accessed. So there is a budget, and it is provided by the Jamaat.
What's the amount like?
I have probably Riaz Kaku in the room. I can ask him, because he deals with that side. I just saw him walk in and out. But if not, it's at the moment seems adequate. So some people can't afford the weekly shopping. It comes straight out of Jamaat. Go on.
We could donate to the Jamaat on the welfare.
You're right.
But then
Yes. So the way money is also collected in Jamaat, a lot of the funds will come through as sadaqah. And sadaqah is also, I think traditionally we always felt that if the sadaqah money comes, we gather it, we send some to overseas. It might be East Africa, it might be India, Pakistan, but what we were trying to push during our time in the executive committee was, let's distribute it amongst those that need within the community first, so that sadaqah money that gets collected at the desk during Muharram, it all comes in Jamaat, people make big donations, say this is for welfare, so that money gets used. I suppose the question, Riyaz Bhai, was, what's the budget? Are you set a budget, or is there anything that is needed is generally covered?
For the ration that we supply every month, it's £55 a month.
Per person?
Per family.
Yeah.
So
But is there an overall budget, or we've not been given a limit, have we?
No. It depends on the number of families. I know the number of families. I've got a list. Yes. I've got on some sheets. 18 families just now. Yes. More.
Fine. So there are about 18 families, and they're being supplied with £50 of shopping. So about £1,000 a month is what you're saying.
And then the hot
Thank you.
is separate. And that accounts for about £1,500, £1,800 a month. Because there are people who cannot cook, they're too old, their wives cannot cook. So we supply them cooked food through a caterer. And that takes some.
Okay. So further £1,500 a month.
Yes, Huja helping us.
No, I can summarize.
It can be allocated for helping hands, yes. And we've had donations.
So I think the important about how these are funded. So about £1,000 a month at the moment goes towards shopping to those who can't afford, and at the moment about £1,500 to £1,800 a month goes towards those who are not able to cook their own meals, and so a caterer could be engaged, and then food could be arranged to be delivered to those people's houses, and generally it's like 2 or 3 deliveries a week. And those who cook are from within our community, so we'd go to caterers within our community. So at the moment that comes to about £3,000 a month. Any more questions? I think if there are no more questions, I'm happy to sum up. So, helping hands, hopefully you can see this is something which is important for the community, to help the connection of the community between those who are able to help and those who want to receive help. It's something which has been around for some years, and some people may have witnessed it in different ways. In COVID, you may have received some shopping, you may have heard of somebody receiving a visit, and there are volunteers who are available to help. There have been times when we've had more volunteers than those needing help, and the other way around. And we'd like to be in a position where we have lots of people coming to us so that we can go out and ask for more volunteers. Today is an opportunity to ask for both anyone who feels that they need help, or they know someone needs help, or they want to offer time as a volunteer. If you're on email, you can email welfare@huja.org. If you're on the website, you can go on the website and you can call and leave your details, or you can come to me, or you can come to Riaz Kaku, and you can just give us your details, and we'll be happy to help. I'm here for another half an hour or so, so if there are any questions, I'm very happy to speak to anyone on a one-to-one basis. Otherwise, I'll hand the time back to you all. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much for your very good talk. I'm sure some of us have got a lot of questions. They'll come to you and ask. At least we know where to approach somebody. Hassan.
Thank you.
From volunteers of car park, car number LR62BTX is blocking. Can you please give your keys to the volunteer? Hassan. Any more questions?
Now got a small token. Okay, please.
No, you're right. I think if we just say, we can suggest right now that Riaz Kaku is always happy to receive, and then he can pass on. He's outside. Oh, you mean here in the seniors gathering? Yes, fine. No, you're right. That's a fair suggestion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? We appreciate your time. Just a second. Kakaji.
Assalamu alaikum. What you're doing, helping hands you're doing is amazing. It's a much needed service. It's about time it was in the community, and I'm so glad that professionals like you with the general volunteer force is doing this job fi sabilillah. Of course, you will never be able to satisfy everybody, as you can see. Whatever you do, you will have issues. Okay, so the parameters that you have to define on whether or not how much more can you give financially support and otherwise has got to be pretty clear. So if you can put that, I think you need an icon on the Huja's website so they can just click on it, and that will give them the names of who to contact for what. But I think what you're doing is amazing, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, I think I appreciate it very much, Dr. Sadik. I hope you come quite often here, every 6 months or something, or 3 months. You're welcome back again.
I'll stay for lunch next time. Yes. Thank you.
Now there's a small procedure I have to continue presentation, and for the member of volunteers who've been serving us quite well, will Mr. Juma, Iqbal Juma, please come here. This is appreciation for the work has been conducting regularly and on time. We are provided with a cup of coffees first thing in the morning, which we appreciate very much. Asant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you have a ziyarat, please? Yes, please. You can take the back this way.
توجه زيارات. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيد نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا حسين شهيد بكربلاء، السلام عليك علي بن الحسين زين العابدين، السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر من النبيين، السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق، السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم، السلام عليك علي بن موسى يا رضا، السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي التقي الجواد، السلام عليك علي بن محمد الهادي النكي، السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي الزكي العسكري، السلام عليك يا حجة الله بن الحسن يا صاحب اليسوع الزمان، Assalamu alaikum ya Kabat al-Iman. Assalamu alaikum ya Sharik al-Quran. Ajjalallahu farajah. Wa sahalallahu ta'ala makhrajak wa dhuhurak. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kun li walika Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. Salawatuka alaihi وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين